nail the injury news first of all. James MacArthur and Dan likely to make it?
No, I don't think so. I think, Scott Danny's running it okay now at the moment, but whether we risk him when we've got 10 days to our next game after this weekend, I don't know whether it's worth the risk, really. He's dead keen, I think, but we'll just see. He's got another couple of days yet, so it does make a difference. I don't think McCarthy will make it.
Given that Palace finished mid-table-ish last season and West Brom were just above the relegation zone in the end, how do you see the improvement they've made and how do you see your lads now as a match for them?
I think it's very open. Apart from the top two teams in the league, I think everything else is wide open this season. West Brom didn't start so well, and you saw them on Monday. They played brilliant, super on Monday, didn't they, against Man United? So, it's one of those things. Everywhere you go in the Premier League is very, very difficult. And I can't see there being many points separating the two teams last year, were there? To say they were just outside the relegation. How many points? I don't know how many points, but I think it's a good stadium, Hawthorns. I like going to the Hawthorns, and I think it's the good people there, and it promises to be a good game, I think.
There's a report that the FA is studying your post-match comments after the Chelsea game. Have they been in touch for an explanation, or is it something?
Well, I think you're bound to get asked questions, aren't you? They've got, I think one particular person looking at everything that we say or do, and that's the job. So, but I think as long as you don't question their integrity, and I don't think I did that. I think I questioned his experience, really, or the influence that certain things did in the game. I don't think that's anything to do with his integrity. So we'll have to see.
So you haven't heard and you don't expect to?
I do expect it, yes. I would imagine that from what I've been told, that I'll have a letter.
Can you bring us up to date on the discussions with Damien Delaney and the contract? He's out of contract at the end of the season, and until the red card, he's been excellent for you. Yeah,
he's been offered a contract. At the moment, he hasn't signed it yet, but the contract's there on the table. So it's not anything to do with us, it's to do with Damien.
But how keen are you?
You'd have to ask him why he hasn't signed him. You don't make statements like that, within a few short days of him getting sent off like he did, because you tend to make rash comments. So I think over the season he's done very, very well. He's a good leader for us in the dressing room as well. That's why we've offered him a new contract. But it's up to him whether he signs it, not me.
And have discussions started with Joe Ward as well over it?
Yeah, they have, yeah. And I think there's one or two players we'll probably talk to.
What difference does that make to these guys like Ward when he's got 2 years left, yet you're already sitting down offering him a new deal?
I just think that Joel's an important player as well, It doesn't mean that he'll sign the contract, He's got his options. I know, speaking to the lad himself. But I think it's important that the club make offers like this to players, not just when the contract's expired, but, in plenty of time when you value the services.
In a broad sense, Neil, do you think, had such a fantastic September, do you think the international fixtures in a way sort of halted your momentum a little bit? Is that how you look at October?
I think you can say that, but at the end of the day, every game's going to be difficult. We look at what's coming up, and you plan. I look at Manchester United for a start. At the start of the season, everybody said what easy fixtures they had, and yet they didn't really pull any trees up, but they started to play well now. I don't think you can say what's going to be an easy fixture or not nowadays. Like I say, I think on a good day we can go anywhere. Yeah, I think Manchester City and Chelsea are very special this year, really. But I take those two teams out of the equation, and I think anybody can go anywhere and get a result on a good day. Yeah, it means that the bottom teams have got to play extra well, and the teams that you're talking about in those top 6 positions have to have an off day. But I do think it's more even than it's ever been this season.
For you personally, a couple of months back now in the job, how are you assessing what you've got here and the size of the task that faces you the rest of the season?
Well, the pleasing thing for me is we've got a very, very genuine bunch of players, and we've got we can create chances, we can score goals on our day. We do need certain players not to get injured. We are a little bit thin on the ground on that, but we've got a genuine bunch, and I think we've got every opportunity to keep to move on and try and do what everybody wants to do, and that is stay in the Premier League. And I think, like I say, apart from 3 or 4 or 5 clubs, everybody's thinking the same thing this season.
And you'll have seen how well West Brom played on Monday. What does that mean for you this week?
Well, I think it's it's good to see them. When you play, you see them play against Man United like that, and I suppose it'll help the bookies, I would imagine, for Saturday's odds. But we're not a bad side ourselves, so we're looking forward to it. Like I say, I think it's a good stadium. It's a nice atmosphere there as well. So I think it gives the lads an opportunity now after the Chelsea, all the hoo-ha about the local derby. I think it's great to get back to nitty-gritty now.
It was announced this week Julian Speroni will get a testimonial next year. How important the players have been for you in both your spells at the club? Not
just for me, I think the whole club. In fact, I think if everybody knew Julian Speroni all over the country, they'd be absolutely astounded how. There's so much around the community. He's always there to go out to functions and supporters' dues, and he's just a gentleman. He hasn't got a bad word to say about anybody, so he'll never become a manager.
And do you think having a quality understudy in Wayne Hennessy has upped his game a level?
Yes, definitely. I think Wayne Hennessy he's been a breath of fresh air around the place as well, and it's great for him. He's disappointed, I would imagine, because he plays well for Wales, and and the opportunity was here. He felt the opportunity was here, but Julian's just been so good, really, that it's very difficult to change someone that's got the shirt unless something happens drastically, and Julian's consistency really has been the big plus for us.
Playing away this weekend, the Palace fans are known for kind of out-singing the home teams at a lot of games. So how much of a difference does that make?
It's fabulous. I mean, they are fabulous. I mean, I remember him up in the gods. I could hardly see him. I had to have binoculars at Newcastle, but I could hear him. And the same at Everton. I think it's important that we get a good group like that, and we always do. We get the hardcore going away with us, and they always make themselves very, very, we know they're there. Put it that way. The vocal is superb. I don't think that'll change.
Neil, as a qualified referee, as yourself, and coming from a refereeing background, do you regret telling your players after the final whistle of the weekend not to shake Craig Hawthorns' hand after the final whistle?
Well, I think I don't want any. We already had a man sent off, and I don't want any of my other players getting sent off for saying something to the referee after the game. So I think my first and foremost is make sure they get in the dressing room without any other red cards. That's my first and foremost, and I made sure that happened.
Did you think it showed a bit of lack of respect from your part in
Well, I think I've just answered. I think I've answered the question as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think I've any more to add to that.
Right, and one on Wilfried Zaha as well. Impressed when he come on against Chelsea. Do you see his development? Is he really knocking at the door for a first team spot?
Yes, he is. We're very lucky. I think Punchin and Balazi and Wilfried's as good as anything, in the league. And they've been outstanding. So Wilfried's had to be patient, but at the same time he's working very hard in the training on certain aspects of his game which he's probably not as good at, and that's when he hasn't got the ball. And I've seen a good response to him in training. He's taking on board what I'm asking, and hopefully when he gets his opportunity he'll take it.
Neil, what do you make of Marina, the West Brom striker, getting a lot of publicity?
Yes, very much so. I think he's been a lad on fire, really, hasn't he? And it's good to see young lads like that, so exciting. And I think Sessegnon done well as well behind him. So it's disappointing if we don't have the regular back four. But I'm sure that we've got to concentrate a little bit about. I think Fraser Campbell's on fire at the moment, and I think the two wide lads, whoever they are, will are doing very, very well. So you can get too concerned, really, but I think it's less than 2 years ago that Wilfried was in the England team, and Marino, is looking to try and get there. So, it's just a matter of opportunities for young lads. I think you've got to show the consistency, which he is doing now, and I think that's come from the under-21s and being regular in his own team, and I think the benefit is now being shown for West Brom, really, because you give him half a chance and he takes it, doesn't he?